Thank y'all for being here. I don't think I've introduced myself fully. Some of y'all familiar faces, but I'm Rosemarie. I have been doing art for the past 7 years professionally. Within that time frame, I've become a mom, so I consider myself a mompreneur, and it's allowed me to, be a teacher. Because it's not just about self-preservation. We gotta think about our children. We gotta think about our next generation. We gotta think about our legacy. And so going into, like she was saying, God creating teachers, it's already innately in us, this DNA of moral compass. We're already being guided by God. If we allow God to be into our lives, or to recognize that God's already been there the whole time, right? As you see on your canvases, I see some of y'all already took the initiative. I love it. We did a sketch and outline, and even that is not perfect, okay? We go through life, and we're gonna make mistakes. And through those mistakes, we improvise and we get better, and we also make sure that we're better than our yesterdays, okay? One thing about humans, our flaw is that we forget. So that's why God created teachers, so that we won't forget his miracles. The one thing about being a teacher, you have to first be a student. Being able to understand a person's story, you have to be able to first be receptive and listen to their story. The best way that we're able to retain this information as students is you want to be able to teach it to somebody else. I would love for y'all to just take these concepts and being able to apply into your life, but again, not just into our lives, but how can we affect and impact the community, the people that are close to us, and especially our children, especially as a mom, like I said, going back into being a mompreneur. So happy belated Mother's Day to y'all. We have to pay homage to our ancestors because they brought us to this point, and they kind of went through the fire so that we wouldn't have to, kind of thing, and learning these truths have guided us this far, but we still have to do the work. Just appreciate y'all for being here and just being receptive to these insights, and allowing me to take my niche, something that I've done for the past 7 years professionally, but use it in a way that's not just sharing it, right? But hopefully using it to change and create impact in a positive manner to the community. And so again, I have a few insights. Each of us are teachers through our experiences, so thank you for allowing me to translate mine to y'all today. Thank you. 3 hearts, if you guys can see on the canvas, and there's a lot of power in 3s. And we're going to start with the first heart, and that is, again, cultivating a safe environment. As women, that is our thriving energy force, and a lot of times we can really be in our divine right when we feel safe. We need to have a safe haven, and whichever color you want, we're going to fill that space with the intention that this is a safe space for me. I'm going to be able to show up for myself, and there's a bottom portion. This could represent our boundaries too. Okay, safe space, but we also be discriminative, and we also have that intuition in order for us to really thrive in that intuitiveness. Women, we're more multi-directional, whereas men, they're more linear, they're more, first things first, but we might see the 4, 5, 6, but for that reason, we're very protective spiritually. So it's important for us to first be in a safe space so that we can cultivate that protection to not just ourselves and self-preservation, but those around us. What you gotta do is it's the practice, it's the intention. Like they say, laborers, they use their hands. A craftsman, they use their hands and their brain, but an artist, they use their hands, their brain, and their heart. There's no coincidence, when we were first conceived in our mother's womb, it was the heart organ, the first organ to be created. So that's where we're going to start, and that's where we're also going to honor our painting here. But this is also going to be a tool for us. Every time we look at this painting, we're reminded of those intentions. And the beauty of this sisterhood, like I said, we cultivated, showing up is half the battle. And as you have said, and congratulating, right? But I'm telling you, when you're with your tribe, when you're with your sisterhood, when you're with people that care about you and want to see the best in you, the battle's pretty much all the way won. You just gotta follow the steps. But then don't get me wrong, you can still exude that heart even beyond that boundary. You know how sometimes you gotta love somebody from afar. Yes. But again, cultivating that safe space, you gotta first take care of you in order to be able to take care of everyone around you. You asking for God to for that alignment, but with that alignment, you have to have let go of people that you really love and care for, so that you can make room for what you do deserve. And that in turn is, like you said, not thinking about my plans, but thinking about what does God have planned for me, and allowing that to flourish and take hold. So
bring the right people into your life.
Yep, that God-ordained alignment. She noted earlier that it was typically the troubled kids that would navigate to you, because essentially you have that source, you have that light to emanate to them, and that reflection that they need. And we know it. We have that moral compass. We just gotta. Right. Well, that's where you got the boundary. Sometimes you got to replenish. You got to step back and say, hey, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. After I refuel. You know what I mean? I got to take a minute. Rest is important. Rest is very much a part of self-care. I mean, it's the reason why whenever in surgery or anything like that, you let them sleep. Or when a child isn't feeling well, don't even wake them up to feed them. Sleep is more important right now. So remember that in self-care. And like you said, hey, I'm overwhelmed right now, and to communicate that. That's okay. And that's okay. Because for them to, whatever they need from you, they're not going to be getting the best version of you at that point anyway. So it'd be a disservice to them too. So there's a reason why disease is they call it disease, because you're not at ease. You see what I mean? Disease, and so our bodies heal ourselves. We just gotta allow it to. And sometimes we overcomplicate, and that's as adults, the human complexities with our minds, So that's why it's important to flush out all of that negativity. And if something is stressing you, it should be a good stress. There's bad stress and there's good stress. And I feel like the good stress is what's gonna encourage you to get back into that ease. The boundary too is allowing them to accept certain challenges. You know what I mean? Because when we get older, it's those no's aren't rejection but redirection, so that we can work a little bit harder. So when we do get that yes, it's actually fulfilling. You know what I mean? And I'll say this too. It sounds cliche now, until you get older and you experience it. You're gonna be like, oh, mom was just telling me this.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
For a reason. You know what I mean? It's gonna resonate. It's through the experience. It's again going through the fire so you don't have to. Self-care being a sacred ritual of renewal. We're going into the second heart now.
Okay.
Finally, the second heart. The second heart is in our temple, right? The first heart was the self-care. You see perfect, beautiful, looks so beautiful. And that's fine because, again, intuitively, y'all already know what the picture looks like. And that's the beauty of it. This was just a guide, right? The second heart is in self-love is our temple. And what's next to godliness? Cleanliness, hygiene. But that can also be spiritually, too, washing away the day and starting anew and finding gratitude in that. And saying like, hey, I might have made a mistake, or I might have kind of done this better, or but just the fact that you can reflect on the day, like, already does a lot, because that means that you're discerning. It means that you want to improve, and that to me is what we're here for. We are a lineage of survivors, so we owe it to not just our ancestors, but to the future generations to carry this torch. God created teachers for that reason, to carry that torch. So going into self-care, taking care of your body, not just washing your body, what you put in your body. So it's not just topical; it's what you from the inside. And how you even massaging yourself is important. Getting blood flow. What do they say? In motion stays in motion, right? Back into those appointments, those non-negotiables, those things that are going to fill your cup. You have to invest in yourself, and that's going to make for a better companion, a better friend, a better teacher, whatever it may be, whatever your desires, whatever you see yourself. It's kind of like you see the castle in the clouds, right? But you got to build it to that point. You got to get there. You got to take those steps, and that's the renewal. That's the ritual that you do, because our life is a culmination of those seconds and those moments, but it's also a culmination of those decisions. Actually, you want to feel good. When you look good, you feel good. And this is all costumes at the end of the day, right? And who are you? You choose to be who you want to be. And our minds are so powerful. And sometimes get delusional. If it's a dream you have and it's in your heart, God planted that seed in your heart, believe it. People can think that you're crazy, but again, if God planted it, you're winning a battle, not just for you, but for the collective. That's why you never give up on yourself. Never give up. Our skin is a barrier and a protection. Our clothing too, being intentional about spiritual reflects into the physical. Like the reflection of our room, right? Like my room is in an array right now, but that's a reflection of my mind. So when I go home and I'm like, okay, I need to compartmentalize, I gotta clean it and tidy up, and it's gonna reflect in my mind. So it's the same thing with how us taking care of ourselves and our mentality and our spirit and having that relationship with God, and so that we're not confused with who we are, but we remember who we are. That's what art started out for me. It was a therapy, and it was something that I could, dump all of my thoughts, dump all of my day and my stresses, and give, again, it's like an act of giving it to God, submitting my weaknesses, and so that I can be restored in God's strengths. And again, it's translated in the physical. It could be a ritual. It's what your intentions you put into it. So like a lot of people meet a person with a lot of tattoos. Oh, she's a high anxiety. You know what I mean? That's what they normally say. It's a person is very anxious. But for me, how I transmute it is, what would I take this pain for? What am I, you know what I mean? Like, you have to put a meaning behind it, and that's going to be what, your catalyst. What's going to keep me going? What's my why? What is my why? And that's going to empower you. And again, sometimes we forget, and sometimes we got to be reminded of that so that we can keep pushing, and don't ever give up. So that's the renewal. That's the ritual. As women, whatever we put out, it comes back tenfold. So, and again, if you're putting out negativity, and you wonder why there's dark clouds and stuff like that, again, it's being mindful, being aware. But that's also what makes us protective too. As women, we got to always be observant. We got to always be aware of our surroundings. But then if we use that and transmute that in ways that are not just in survival mode, but we're thriving now. The mompreneur. Well, because for the titles, I look at it like, okay, the title of the mom, that's going to be the most honorable title I ever hold in the rest of my life, right? So that's first and foremost. The mompreneur, that's my why. And I think that is what's going to take precedence when you think about your titles. And maybe someone might have a different why. And so if they're questioning that, it's not really their, you know what I mean? I don't want to say business, but it's also how you carry yourself. Going back, one of the next slides is how your crown. And how you wear that crown. And how you walk and treat people. And, just coming into a room in this energy, what God sees. It's what you see. It's not what other people see. It's the confidence that you built behind closed doors. It's the prayers that you've made and the conversations you had with God. That's what matters. And you have that contract with God, not with anybody or to please anybody else. That's going back into the people-pleasing archetype. And that's why we get sucked into this. Sometimes we're stroking someone's ego by being a people. You know what I mean? But by standing convicted in our truths and in God's truths and our purpose, we're helping somebody else as well as ourselves. Wearing different hats and just whatever hat you wear, make sure you're wearing it well. You put in that intention. And what's the saying they say? It's not how much time you put in, it's what you put into the time that matters. So essentially, it's just showing up. And I look at time as an illusion. All the power is in the now. That's where all the power that ever was or will be. And so honoring that time. And that's where the gratitude comes in. And just being thankful. And with that lens of gratitude, you'll start to see these different sparks and these moments of inspiration. And again, inspiration is being in spirit. And it might be, honing into what does God's voice sound like to you? We just got to hone in on it. We tend to cut corners, and we're living in a society where it's fast gratification. Everything's so quickly, and it sometimes encourages us to get lazy. Right? You got a dishwasher. It's like that invention was there to save up time. So we're not always in the sink washing the dishes. But I look at it like, okay, that's going to free up time, not just for me to just be lazy, but it's going to free up time so I can do more work somewhere else. You see, because there's something fulfilling in that service. Because I feel like in dormancy, that's when the negativity latches on. But when we are of water, so lucrative water, that's how we replenish, stay moving. I would write on the mirror, with a dry erase but the sticky notes. Yeah, that was my college days for sure. And that's something you can stick on your car and everything. Now you can even set it in your phone, the little reminders. And there's situations where it's like, are you following your heart or are you following your head, right? But they actually coincide. It's like I'm gonna follow my heart, but I'm gonna use my head to get there. And in turn too, the third heart is with our lips. As we've been saying this whole time, we have to speak life. We have to speak life. I was talking to the ladies earlier in the book of Genesis and God creating the creation and the world around us. When He spoke us into existence, us as humans, He breathed life into us. And to always reset and understand that life force and God is within us, literally through and through. And when we attach that to our words, and then you put meaning and belief behind it, you literally can move mountains. You literally can heal people, heal yourself. So to revel in that magic and to revel in how beautiful it is that we have that life force and that power within us from God granting us that, and to utilize it in a way that's going to change the world and empower the world, and to recognize each other and say it's going to take all of us to come together. Because a pure prayer is powerful, but when a choir is singing, it's even more amplified. And that's how we wear that crown. Loyalty and royalty. Right here, exactly. Bring the best out of somebody. You got to see the best in them too. So I think that's a beautiful thing. We got mothers and teachers in here, and we see people. We see each other. Right? We're clapping for you earlier, and you deserve that. We all deserve our flowers in here. But it does require us to also open up, and the courage that you had to open up. Life opens up when you do, and to keep doing the God's work. We need you. We need each other. It's going to take all of us. Even when we're talking about, race or ethnicity, I never, especially being an artist, I'm like, natural law, spiritual law, natural law, the rainbow. That's the next thing that we're painting. That's where the colors come from, which is light emanation. It's light. And the reason why black and the darkness is because it's the absence of light. That's the same thing with good and evil. We have good. Evil is the absence of good. It's the same thing with heat and cold. Heat, but cold is just the absence of. So it's really not like a negative thing. It's a law of polarity. It's a law of polarity. I know I can know this because I know that. You know what I'm saying? So it's supposed to. It's kind of like an axis of that.
Human beings that attach negative meaning.
Exactly. Right, and that's what we're unraveling. In these generations coming together and having dialogue like this. We're unraveling it. My kids, we're not even using the words colorism to label somebody. You see what I mean? This is who they are. They're a human being. We have different traits, but at the end of the day, we have godly traits. We all have traits of God, and what I'm going to identify is something that I've earned, something that I'm proud of, and it's because I put in the work, the due diligence and stuff like that. They're God-given traits. They're God-given, their attributes. Not it's to be used in a way to make someone better or less than. I think people too, like you said, getting caught up in our five senses. The five senses is what keeps us on this plane. We just experienced the plane here with those senses, and getting too caught up in that, it loses sight on the real kingdom of the spirit, and which is beyond this place. It's beyond what even our human mind can fathom. And so that's what I mean as a collective and a oneness, a law of oneness. We're not going to be able to really see it unless people come together and reflect our light with each other and honor each other's light. So yes, we are in an age, especially with social media. People can get caught up in chasing clout and, again, this carrot, not even realizing they coming up running off of a cliff. But again, there's this spirit that's already in our DNA when we hear it, truth. Just like when Jesus came, He spoke the truth. It resonated. It didn't matter what you looked like, where you came from. They followed. They came to that truth because it's a vibration, something that you feel. It's kind of like calling us home kind of thing. And so I encourage in our self-care to, it's like being a satellite, being receptive and stuff. And you gotta rid certain things that, or even like you said, relationships or dogmas, some things that have institutionalized us, social engineering or whatever else, and to get down to just the basics. And that's why I look at the three main things. Cultivate a safe space so that you can thrive and flourish. And self-care, make a ritual, put intentions in your day-to-day and the things that you do and the things that you say and the things that you create. Honor that you have been made in the image of God by being a creator. That you're exercising it right now, whether it be painting, journaling, cooking, even ironing your clothes, washing your clothes, washing the dishes, anything that you put your mind into. And it is what you make it. That's what life is, right? Because something that I've also have been dealing with is like, being able to ask for help. Or to like lean, and I feel that with you, because you're always the one showing up for others, and again, that's like a depletion where you're soaking up everything, and they're happy. You know what I'm saying? You healed them, and then that's probably that sadness that you feel, and maybe that might also be, where you need your village. The healer has to be healed too. And again, why put all in? Maybe that's also what you're feeling. Just submit it to God, so that you can see you, not all of the healing from others that you're carrying around. Right? Because you're like carrying it around for everybody, and you're like, man, where am I? I don't want to leave it here. I don't want to put it on this person. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Put it into, again, those rituals, and to renew yourself, and to know that you've done your service to others, and you should be rewarded and that's what you're feeling, like the impact that you don't even see. That's that smile that resonates, that other people can see, and that's powerful. How we see you, don't see you. Right, exactly. And it's time to see you. Laughter, that's the purest connection, of authenticity too. Because I feel like we stress so much of how are we looking crazy right now, you know what I mean? Like the judgments and stuff, but when we really just having fun and in the moment, like you ever had, you and your girl, like you cackling and you just looking at each other and just cackling, like those are the best moments to live. But those to me are those sparks of inspiration, kind of like those moments of eternal bliss, where it's like, this is what heaven feels like. This is what we have to look forward to. It's like getting out of normalcy. Getting out of this, it's like replacing the routine, the mundane, with something that is magical. Something where, we are princesses and queens and, royalty. Like, we stepping up, like, we going to the ball. Like, my whole thing is, too, like wearing something that we normally wouldn't wear, but we don't wear it because, we're going to be judged or, whatever. And it's like, do it for you. If it fills your cup and makes you feel good, do it. Wear it. Because I know that was, like, one of the big things, like, women that were, like, in their 80s. And they're starting to wear the clothes, that they never wore. They were waiting for the right moment. And that was their main advice, is just wear that outfit. If it makes you feel good, just wear it. We don't ever give it away because we're like, one day we'll wear this. Why don't turn one day to day one? Right? It's showing up for yourself, but it's also betting on yourself. Betting on yourself each and every time. And you can't go wrong. And that's how you actually build your value, by doing that. So going into, there we go, let your love conceptualize into the world and let your light emanate. As I was saying, I always say this, now we have our sisterhood, we don't just conceptualize in the womb. As women, we conceptualize in the mind. And our thriving energy force is love. There's times where I went into muddy, putty waters just to receive love. And women, we do that. It's our thriving energy. Even though we all deserve pure springs of love. And we need to conceptualize that too. A lot of times we're stunted because of how we're treated. And like the state of the world, you go to places where women are not being treated respectfully. You can see in the world around them, it's not a good environment. Where women are treated respectfully and loved and honored the way that we should, it's like heaven on earth. And so that's where I continuously challenge us as women, is to conceptualize and breed a beautiful world around us. And it starts within and it emanates out. Everything starts within. So exuding that thriving love energy force, not just for ourselves, but as a human responsibility. Like that is the most beautiful form of self-care, is in how we care for other people. Use this as another reminder of all the concepts that me and Miriam have taught everyone, actually. Thank you all for sharing, because every time I come in here, it's like I'm in the therapy too. Like I'm like I needed this. I needed this, and such an honor to be in here with y'all. It really is, and to think that finding my passion, like I said, each and every one of y'all got a seed that God planted in you, and to further that passion, to learn it, and so that you can teach it. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring this out. But the fact that it's like finding your purpose and putting that love energy. And again, I'm just grateful to be able to exemplify that here with y'all. Conceptualizing, definitely seeing it, working on visualization. How many of y'all use like vision boards? Vision boards. See, that's conceptualizing. For real?
Yeah, but I took some pictures that like stuff I already like accomplished.
Right. See, boom. See, and I sometimes do that with my birthdays, right? So I turned 38. So I wrote down 38 goals that I want to accomplish within that, right? And then every time I accomplish it, so 39, you know what I'm saying? I add another goal, and if whatever I cross out, I fulfill it. So you're always, again, keeping accountability too. See, we're all born artists. Isn't it neat that, like, before we can speak, we know how to sing? You know what I mean? And before we know how to write, we know how to draw. And before we know how to walk, we can dance. Because that's again, that creative energy. That's why these are therapies to us. Because it's something that is bringing us back to that innocence. I feel like having the camera actually made me nervous. You know?
Maybe because you're more cognizant